Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to be using some very simple and minimal supplies to create a Valentine's Day card. A few of you have been asking for more simple cards, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to create a card with very simple supplies. So I have a little bit of watercolor paper. You can use whatever watercolor paper you have on hand, an inexpensive watercolor set from Crayola, and then just a few other supplies. Starting out by creating my card base out of the watercolor paper. It is cut to 3.5 inches wide by 10 inches tall, and I'm making two little pencil marks at 5 inches so that I can score my watercolor paper. I'm going to connect the two dots with my ruler and then use my Teflon bone folder to score the watercolor cardstock or the watercolor paper. The reason why you want to score it is because it breaks the fibers in the paper, and then when you go to fold it into a card, the fold won't crack as much, or sometimes it prevents it completely. This watercolor paper I'm using today is from Canson, and it's the Canson Montval watercolor paper, so it's rather thick. I did have a little bit of cracking, but not a lot, and it worked out really well. If your watercolor paper doesn't fold cleanly like mine was a little askew, I was able to fudge it a bit by just kind of manipulating the paper and then running my bone folder over that fold once again. So I'm going to unfold it so that I can work on the front of the card. So I've got a stack of Post-it notes here. It's just some really small Post-its. You could use regular paper for this if you'd like. But you see where the sticky part of the Post-it is? We want to make sure that as we draw our heart on the Post-it, that we have the majority of the top of the heart over that sticky area. That's because I'm going to be sticking the heart down onto the card base, and I'm going to use it as a kind of like a stencil or a template to draw on a bunch of hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and take some scissors and cut this out. I do have a tip for you when it comes to cutting out things with your scissors. You'll notice as I cut this out that I mostly only manipulate the paper. I only turn the paper. I keep the scissors pretty straight and I don't bend them too much. I find that this helps me get a nicer curve when I'm cutting out shapes like this. So circles or hearts or anything with a rounded edge, I find that I'm able to cut it out a little bit more cleanly if I turn the paper instead of the scissors. So I'm going to place that heart piece down onto my watercolor paper, and I'm putting it near the bottom, kind of in the corner. And then I'll take my pencil and trace around that heart shape. I'm going to be tracing a bunch of hearts out onto this card base, and this first one will actually be the one that gets the greeting at the very end. So I want to make sure that this is placed just right. So now I'm going to take that heart and just move it all around the front of this card. I'm leaving a little bit of gap in between each heart, and I'm not putting them on in any particular pattern. I want it to look a little bit more random. If you wanted yours to be kind of like all in a straight line or something, you definitely could. I just wanted mine to be a bit more random. I'm going to trace this last little corner of the heart onto the watercolor paper, and then I'll move on to the watercoloring. So like I mentioned earlier, the watercolor set I'm using is a very inexpensive one from Crayola. It's under $2, and I'm going to mix my colors before I start painting. I'm going to use sort of like a yellow to orange to red to purple to blue combination. So as I paint this, I want to make sure that I have all those colors pretty much ready to go. This is because as I paint, I'm going to be dropping in the colors fairly quickly, and I don't want to waste any time by mixing the colors because the paper could dry in the meantime. So I'm just mixing up some yellow. Did want to mention that you can sort of swirl your brush in that watercolor pan until it starts to sort of froth up. That's because it's getting thicker and thicker, and then you can get more pigment. So the way I'm watercoloring these hearts is I'm dropping in some water, and then I'll be bringing the color in. I'm using the very inexpensive paintbrush that came in the watercolor set, just to show you that you don't need an expensive paintbrush to do this. And I'm making sure each heart is completely saturated in water, and then I'm dropping in the color. So I'm going to speed up the video just so you don't have to sit here and watch me paint it all. All in all, it took me about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less, and I hope you guys enjoy the music while I paint.
my mind is still the same. I feel it in my heart, we're falling from the stars. The way you're going on and on and on, it's so predictable. Maybe one last time, why do we go on like this? Can we ever make it stop? But I'll be yours to keep. What you give is what you get. I don't care to start a fight. I don't want you to say how it feels so alone, but I don't care what you do. It's up to me to say I'm sorry.
After all the color was dropped in, I mixed up a really, really watered down gray and then painted in sort of like a really simple shadow underneath these hearts, just to give it a little bit more interest. After I painted in the shadows, I let this dry. There were some really saturated areas, so it did take about, 15 minutes to dry, but not too bad. Next, I took a black pen and I drew on the words "love you." You could use whatever black pen you want for this. Because I'm doing the black pen after I've done the watercoloring, you don't even need to worry about making sure that it's waterproof. You can use any black pen you want. So after I drew on the letters "love you" or the words, I also drew on some small hearts just to give it a little bit more black around that area. And also to draw in more black, I put some dashed lines at the very bottom of the card. So that is going to finish the card for today. I think this is a really, really simple card. You could switch up the colors to be more masculine with yellow to green to blue, and then you'd have a more masculine Valentine's Day card. I hope you guys enjoyed today's kind of DIY watercolor video, and thanks for watching.